Hello, my name is Greg. I'm calling from Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Greg from Jonestown, Pennsylvania?
Johnstown, yes.
Johnstown. What's on your mind?
Well, I actually wanted to discuss the implications from a common law standpoint of the Magna Carta in regards to the recent immunity. Actually, no, I just wanted to mention something about the debate.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. Okay, so I consider myself a fairly high information voter. You know, my family was always, I'm 45 years old. I remember my parents discussing watching politics. I got a poli-sci degree. When, people online would say you're a George Soros shill, that was actually correct for me. Right after college, I worked for America Coming Together as a George Soros operation in the 2004 elections. So I consider myself fairly high information. I try to keep up on things. I watch your show, watch common media, read things. I agree with you guys. A lot of times I'm probably 50% progressive, 50% liberal. One place I've disagreed with you guys traditionally, I've always felt Joe Biden was actually a pretty strong candidate to go against Trump. I just felt like he had a certain, whatever it was, energy that was actually a good counterbalance for Trump. The things that hurt Joe Biden, like him tending to be dishonest, kind of didn't matter against Trump because Trump was so much worse and all of those factors.
Yeah.
But,
by the way, caller agreed with you in 2020 once he got to the, well, maybe, I don't know, at some point, I think that you were absolutely right in 2020. And by this time in 2020, he was up 7-8 points in some national polls against Trump.
Yeah. I mean, and I actually felt in 2016, obviously, even though I'm probably a little bit close to center, I did still want Bernie to get in there. But I remember when Hillary became the established candidate thinking, I think Biden would be a better establishment candidate at that point. But, I watched the debate just like everyone else, and I was concerned for all the same reason you guys were. But, I also think good for a president to be fully functioning, and I'm not sure if he's 100% there. And I was really concerned about people's reaction. And what I'll say is, outside of my circle of friends who are also highly politically motivated, people didn't care nearly as much as I thought it did. And I'm not saying it's not going to matter, and obviously we're seeing polling data shows it does at least matter somewhat. But there was no buzz on Facebook, which, my Facebook is just feeds of people I know from the gym, things like that. I haven't heard anybody talking about it in person, so it didn't resonate quite as much as I thought. And my only thinking is, every time I would see clips of, Joe Rogan saying, Biden, he's completely demented. Look, he's trying to shake hands with a ghost. I would go back and I would look and I would see the full context in the clip, and it looks like Biden was just making a gesture to some guy off stage, But I think most people already have it in their heads and have for a while that Joe Biden has a little bit of dementia, which I don't think he's at the point of having demented even after that debate. But so I don't know if it necessarily took on as big a significance as I initially feared. Having said that, it was certainly not good. And my only hope is if he does stick around for the debate, that it was a case of, him combination being over prepped, taking the wrong approach, trying to turn him into a policy wonk at 81, and maybe he took cold medicine. I don't know. That's my only hope, that he can at least rebound from it if he's got to stay in.
Well,
but at this point, Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if Trump does pick up another 3 or 4 points, even if Biden is a lot better, and there's a case of the cold and cold meds and all that, some people are saying, even if that's the case, will Trump even give him another opportunity to debate, or will Trump? Because I can see if Trump starts pulling the lead, he's going to say, well, there's no reason to give him, just like Trump hasn't announced his VP. Their original plan, I'm sure, was to, if this debate went bad, boom, hit the VP. That way everybody will be talking about that.
Yeah.
But it didn't, so they're leaving the talk.
Yeah, Emma actually made that. Let me just respond to what you're saying. Emma made that point actually before the show. It was saying, he's smart enough to know not to step on the story right now because the story is Joe Biden. Let me just say this, is that I certainly entertain the possibility that low information voters, people who are that engaged may have a different reaction to this debate than others. And I think the reaction probably in terms of like looking at sheer numbers is not as intense as like at moments I thought like, oh my God, he's going to lose 10 points. I think there's a lot of people who will vote for a can of beans against Donald Trump. It doesn't matter whatsoever. But I think the point is ultimately is that like, he's lost. It's clear from the polling that the debate not only did not help him, but at least marginally hurt him. And there is no evidence. This is the thing that really strikes me. What you could be saying about his performance in the debate, what could be theoretically, okay, let's be as generous as we can here, a function of like, he said, I've been traveling around the world, his clock is still messed up, and he took cold medication and poorly prepped and all this. If all those things were the case, and he comes out on Friday and he does, what do you want, 2-hour press conference, hour-long press conference, takes a bunch of questions, extemporaneously shows that, okay, that was a one-off, then I think you'd have like some, a little more substance to that argument. But it's been now almost a week since the most disastrous debate performance in the history of debates. And for a candidate who was already underperforming where we want him to be, and we see now the polls trickling in, we see the campaign was completely ineffective in pushing back on the narrative that just kept developing. And they didn't reach out to lawmakers. They didn't reach out to the leaders of the party because of either A, incompetence, or B, they couldn't do it confidently. And so it is a calculated guess that there's something that is a little bit deeper going on with Biden, that he doesn't have the skill set to go out and campaign, and certainly not to go out and campaign with this type of sort of narrative deficit. He can't seem to overcome it. Appreciate the call.
No, I would. I mean, no, and I largely agree. Appreciate the call, and I appreciate the work you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I think both what you're saying and what I've been saying and what the caller was saying can be true as well, which is that I think we could maybe reckon with some of our own insulation. Like at least I was more dismissive about that Wall Street Journal report about his cognition because the sourcing was weird. It didn't necessarily seem like the anecdotes were that concrete. And a lot of the complaints on, say, Fox News were about how he's only using a teleprompter at these fundraisers. Well, I'm old enough to remember the teleprompter obsession with Obama and with Hillary. I mean, this is something Fox News engages in regularly. I'm kicking myself for not being more critical in that way, I think. It also could be that the general public already thinks he's senile and doesn't want to vote for him because they see the videos on TikTok or
people
whatever.
People were not prepared for what they saw on Thursday. I don't think that is true.
I'm just saying I was open to the possibility that had already been in some way a part of like the apathy towards him. Yeah. But of course, this was historic, and that's what we've been trying to say all week.
I will also say, though, I mean, I'm old enough to remember Reagan, and Reagan was, I don't know if he was lucid, I mean, he was for those last couple of years, at the very least, of his presidency. I don't know if he was in, how lucid
Leslie
he
Stahl
was.
said she's basically just completely like blank and out there in the mid 80s, like 86 or something like that.
Yeah,
and if Reagan, but Reagan was going into that re-election effort with extremely high approval ratings, ended up winning in a landslide. And
no, but my point being, like, I'm not even sure, frankly, how much those faculties are important for those faculties are important for an administration that's already sort of shown what they can do. I mean, again, put aside some of the foreign policy stuff. Obviously, the rabid support for what Israel's doing. Domestically speaking, I like the Biden program. I would like it to have been more successful on Build Back Better, but broadly speaking, best presidency in terms of material benefits and changes, and even when it comes to support of labor and antitrust and appointment of justices of judges rather. Nothing comes close in my lifetime, and if the people around him continue to do that, and he's just sitting there, so that he can stroke people's face when they come into the Oval Office, then fine. But the problem is he can't win in this way, yeah. And all he has shown with that debate performance is a failure to have the ability to win. And he's had a week long of opportunity to come back out and say that was a one-off. And they have not put him in a situation where he could prove it. And the only situation has got to be one where it's like sort of live questioning.
He can't do it.
Yeah, he's not capable.
I agree, but I think they're won't do it, can't do it is the exact same thing at this juncture. And sure. I suspect he won't do it because he can't do it.
They're projecting strength now. They're saying that they're on the ticket together. They're telling that to the staff. They'll do that until the 11th hour.
Or unless they do the switcheroo.
Yeah. You know how Biden's egos to be the vice president again. He already was seething that he was basically boxed out because of a backroom deal between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama when she was made Secretary of State after that knockdown drag-out primary in 2008 when Hillary ran a super racist campaign against Obama. I think people forget that. But the way he talks about himself in the press of hey, I've been counted out my whole life. He feels like
most of the time they were right.
Most of the time. But he feels there's no way he's switching into the vice presidency.
Look, we don't know his ego, but let's assume for a moment that it is, as you say. I'm not sure that it doesn't feed his ego to be like, she can't do this without me. So I get it that maybe I am, there's all these people who have a complaint with me as a campaigner. Okay, fine. But let's be honest. She can't do this without me. I need to be vice president. I mean, I think that's a little bit like West Wingy, wish casting, but it's not inconsistent with someone who believes that they are absolutely essential to the future of the country, clinging on in that way. And maybe, Hunter's probably if I'm Hunter, I'm going whatever can keep you close to the seat of power, Dad.
Well, that's what I say. It's West Wing is better than this Righteous Gemstones Act we got going on with Hunter Biden and all of the things giving his dad moral support. Be like, good, yeah, Dad, you're an underdog.
Right.
Dad, don't do it, Dad. I mean, look, I'm just coincidentally, I may need, pardon me, my art dealer contract is completely contingent upon being president. Or in the White House. So it really doesn't matter which wing. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.